Oh no, it's the first time we're doing a review of a Root product on video, and I don't think I can recommend it. However, I do think this is going to be a game that we're going to be able to recommend to some people, but not everyone. You see, Root, the Clockwork Expansion, it's got a few issues with it, and I'm going to talk you through them first, but I'm also going to talk you through who it is going to be suitable for. So if you stick with us for a little bit, it may seem like we're saying a few negative things about it, some really negative things about it. However, there is good here, and I will get to that, I promise. So let's go and have a look at what exactly you get in here. Okay, so just what is the Root Clockwork Expansion? Well, to put it short, it is something that basically lets you play the base game of Root with a number of AI opponents. So essentially, you can play as you can have an AI set up as one of 4 factions on here. You have the Mechanical Marquis, you have the Electrical Airy, you have the Automated Alliance, and you have the Vagabond, all that can be now played by an AI player. Sounds pretty cool, because you see, one of the big problems with Root, one of the few problems with Root in fact, was that it was this puzzle where you basically had 4 parts to it, and if you didn't have enough people to be able to play it, you may not be able to experience those parts. You see, Root is a very finely balanced game because of the fact that it plays asymmetrically. So what this basically means is that if you only ever had 3 players, no one would ever be able to play as the Vagabond. Now, the AI is a good way of being able to fix that, because now you could set up any of the other players as an AI, and someone can play as the Vagabond if you're only playing with 3 players. If you're playing with 2, you can set up 2 AIs. That's what's brilliant about this box. However, none of this is new. You see, you have a little thing called the Riverfolk expansion. This already has an AI in it. Basically, it only offers the Marquis. Hence why, if you buy the Clockwork expansion, you'll notice that the Marquis is actually listed as Marquis 2.0. Now, the reason for that is because this is very much an improvement. It allows you basically to... it's basically streamlined everything. So one of the big problems with the AI in the Riverfolk expansion is the fact that it went through this process of having to go through basically targeting priorities, where it was moved, which clearing it was going to, how it would target an opponent. It went through this 3-part system of where, first of all, it would determine who has the most parts in that place. If it was a draw, then it would then go on to who is currently in the lead, and then if that is still a draw, then it would go to just turn order, basically. So you had this big kind of rigmarole of how it would go. It also was very vague about what order everything actually went in. So which clearings it would clear out first. This kind of fixes that. It's introduced a load of these tokens which actually create a priority on the map there. Very cool. So what else does the Clockwork expansion offer? Well, it also offers the ability to actually play the game co-op. So does this. So you can kind of see where the problems are coming here. So there is nothing else in this box that is on offer here. This one, on top of all those things, albeit a now outdated system, it also offers you 2 new factions. It also offers the ability to play a second Vagabond character, which actually introduces a whole new host of ways you can actually play the game. So why do I bring this up? Well, these cost exactly the same, and it is very easy to see that what you actually get in here is not very much. You have a bag of cards with a few tokens in, you have your rules, and you have 4 player boards. That is all that you are getting for basically around £30. here you have got 4 player boards again, one for the Mechanical Marquis de Cap. You also have the new Lizard Cult faction, the second Vagabond, and you have the Riverfolk Company, as well as all of these bits. So you get 2 whole new factions, and you get a whole new Vagabond in there as well. So it then becomes unclear as to whether you really need to buy this. And what I will say, because I mentioned earlier, this actually will be for some people over others. And essentially, it's for people that play it 2-player. You see, as I mentioned before, there were a hell of a lot of problems that occurred from playing 2-player regular route, and that is the sheer limitation of how many of the different factions and combinations you can actually play. So you're only actually seeing a very small portion of the game. This unlocks everything, which is a godsend for 2 players. So it makes it really hard to actually be able to say who this is actually for. Well, it is for people that want to play 2-player. It doesn't open anything else up more, like a 6th player or anything like that. Again, I would say buy the Riverfolk Company first if you're looking for an expansion, if you're looking to extend the number of players, as well as give you more options to be able to play as. This one is purely for those people that are playing 2-player, like I said before, because it opens up so much more. There's not really a lot more I can say in this review. But it does pose the question of how you should buy your expansions. See, on top of that, you also have the Underworld expansion. That's not good there. There we go. The Underworld expansion. The Underworld expansion. And you also have a couple of other bits as well, which are nice little, basically aesthetic things. Like you have your resin markers for if you're going to make your own maps. You also have your Vagabond Pack, so you can have different little figures on the board if you're playing as the Vagabond. It's really cool because you have a number of different Vagabond roles you can actually play. But what's really cool is the Exiles and Partisans deck, which can really shake the game up if you're getting bored of playing the standard version over and over and over. The way I would say you really have to buy these is, if you're playing this largely as a 2-player game, buy the Clockwork Expansion first. Absolutely essential if you're playing with 2 players. For everyone else, you could give or take it. You see, I would say definitely then go for one of these 2 if you're playing with more people regularly, if you're playing with 3 or 4 people. See, the thing about these boxes is they do open up more opportunities for other playstyles. But you may want to play with this eventually. If you want to try out the co-op version, this is probably better than the version that you actually get in the Riverfolk expansion. It's the Riverfolk expansion at least would give you a taster. I would say probably get the Riverfolk expansion before you get the Underworld expansion, just because if you like the idea of playing around with the co-op version or the solo version that you can play against the AI and see how that works for you. Personally, I do not like the solo mode in Root. It's a problem I have with a lot of games though. I generally don't like playing against AI. The Clockwork expansion does offer more stuff though. I neglected to mention that you can play with a number of different difficulty settings with this one, something that you don't get in the Riverfolk expansion, which again makes this kind of a must if you want to play solo or 2-player. But it's really where I'd stop with that, unless your curiosity really is piqued by the co-op version of the game. However, I would still say if what you're really looking for is co-op, I would go with the Riverfolk expansion first. Simple reason for that is purely because the Riverfolk expansion, it kind of offers all of the co-op mode that you get in here. Does exactly the same thing. It's just that you have to play against one Marquis, the kitty cat. It's interesting because what you're basically doing in the co-op version is everyone has to reach a certain amount of BP before the AI does. So you kind of really have to work together. and if one person's fallen behind, everyone kind of has to pull them up. It's an interesting experience. But this one, like I said, only way I can recommend it is if you're playing as a twosome or you really want to try it solo, in which case this then becomes essential. So it really depends on what you want, and if you have been watching this video and haven't played Root, give it a try. If you don't feel like buying the game, I would say go down to Board Game Cafe and give it a try, because it is an absolute work of art. It is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. The asymmetry of it is just really intriguing and really, really interesting. And yeah, I love the game. And if you look on our website at our top 50 games of 2019, you will see that Root was at number 1 on that list. That is just how much we love this game. So please do go and check it out. Apart from that, thank you very much for joining us. If you've enjoyed this review, please do give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can find us on social medias at Everybody Dice on Twitter and at Everybody Dice Show on Instagram. We have a Facebook page at www.facebook.com/everybodydice. We also have a Patreon. This review was actually chosen by our patrons. That is over at patreon.com/everybodydice, and they basically get the choice of a number of games every single month, and they choose between them as to which one they would most like us to review. They also get a couple of other neat things as well, such as newsletters and stuff of this sort. Thank you very much for joining us on this video. There should be some videos on screen now. If you could please check them out, that would really help us out. Thanks for joining us. Till next time. Bye!